press the live button. Okay, now we should be live. Hi everyone. Okay, so great to be here. I'm Gil Shir. Today we're going to continue last week's session, which was awesome, by the way, thanks to you and your great questions. We're going to talk about a vision for the future in this session of Kabbalah Explained Simply. Let's just give a few more seconds. See that we're good. Rachel says we're good. Excellent. Thank you, Rachel. We're going to have some fun today. We're going to play a game of the fate of humanity. Sounds serious, but we'll see. We'll see if humanity's headed in a good direction or not. I think it is, but we'll see together, and we'll do it through an interactive session. So I'll give you a few more seconds. Yes, I can already see that you're writing in the chats where you're from and introducing yourself and saying hi, so that's great. Hi, Anne, Julieta Coleman, and Emma, and hi from Florida, and hi Deborah from Florida, and David from Quebec, and Robert from Pennsylvania. Izoki, hi Izoki, good to see you again. And Maria and Manoj, hi, how's it going? Mary, Mariam, keep saying hi. It's great to see you interact and engage in the chat. The chat's awesome. I always enjoy reading it afterwards and see how inspiring you are. So say hi and we'll get started, I think in just a few seconds. Just make sure everything's working. Sound, video is all good. I think it is. In that case, I think we're ready to go. So today's session, welcome to Kabbalah Explained Simply. I'm Gil Shir, and today we're going to continue last week's session, Vision of the Future. I'm sure Rachel will already post in the chat last week's session's link, so you can check it out. Not now, but when we're done, you can have the link there, so you can check that out. I will do a really quick recap of last week's session as well. And what we're going to do today, we're going to talk about 10 insights on 2020 that will use them to observe 2021. Insights from a Kabbalist, my teacher, Kabbalist Dr. Michael Laitman. And based on these insights, we'll be able to see if the world is headed in the right direction or not. And we'll get your input on this and we'll decide together if we feel that the world is headed in that direction or if it's not. But before we dive into it, let's just have a quick recap of last week's session. So, we spoke about 2021, but we started off with a reflection about 2020. And there's a lot to reflect in this year. Almost 2 million deaths from COVID and still counting, a huge economic fallout, rise of depression, of anxiety, suicide cases, obesity, unemployment, etc., etc. On paper, it didn't seem like it's a very good year. There were some good things in that as well. I mean, if you just look at the stats, right? Growth in technological innovation and education and business and air quality, less pollution, reduction in crime because you're locked at home. So, But when we learn in Kabbalah that everything is driven by a certain reason, then sometimes it's easy to accept. And sometimes it's more like, something like this. I'm not talking about the FedEx truck. I'm talking about that writing on the wall here, right? I know everything happens for a reason, but what the F? So that's sometimes how it feels. And the reason why it feels that way is simply because we lack some kind of understanding of the structure of the laws that are driving these outcomes that we see with our eyes, right? And the wisdom of Kabbalah says that all of these outcomes, they're not chaotic. There is no chaos in reality. There is no coincidence. And anything that seems to us as chaotic is simply a lack of understanding of the laws that are around us. That's it. So if something seems to us as chaotic, if it seems like it's happening for no reason, or if we can't understand how this could be part of something good, it's simply because we lack the understanding of the entire mechanism that it's part of, right? So according to Kabbalah, everything that happens has some kind of purpose, and not in a blind kind of religious way that you've got to believe it and hand over your other cheek if you get slapped and say thank you. No, that's not according to the wisdom of Kabbalah. Pain is real to the extent that you perceive it as pain. And the wisdom of Kabbalah says that if you change the way you interact with reality, you won't justify the pain you're receiving. That's part of the steps in it, but that's not the desired outcome. The desired outcome would be to perceive reality in a way that you do not experience that pain at all. So all sick will be perceived as healed, and all poor as rich, etc., etc. So imagine your wildest kind of scenario of a perfect reality, of all of human beings acting together, all of them nurtured, fulfilled, etc. Imagine something like that. So imagine that that is actually how you perceive reality. That is a reality. Well, this led us also last week to a deeper discussion on perception of reality, because so wait a minute. So which reality is real? Am I changing my perception and then I'm not perceiving the true reality? And then we said that we don't really know what reality is, right? So if I'm looking at something now, I don't know what's outside of me. I just know that I interact with some form of energy, right? So I interact with waves or sound. They hit my eardrum, they go in, and then I interpret them as something. What is this wave? It's just some energy, right? So some of these forms of energy we know, electromagnetic waves, that we can measure their energy, and other forms of energy maybe we don't yet know. Like we can't measure energy of thoughts, although thoughts have a very, very strong energy and influence on the reality around us and on ourselves. But basically, it's all some kind of raw, unknown energetic force around us, and we have no idea what it really is, but only how we perceive it. And how we perceive it depends only on us, and according to the wisdom of Kabbalah, this is something that we can change. And if we change it, then we'll realize that everything around us is driven by a single law of actual love. I don't mean love like we spoke about in previous sessions, love of fish, that I love something because it makes me feel good. So I love fish and therefore I eat the fish, which I love. That obviously isn't true love, because I end up slicing the fish into pieces and putting them in my mouth. So that's probably not true love from the fish perspective. So of course I'm talking about true love, where true love is thinking of the benefit of not how it fulfills me, but how I fulfill it. That is true love. And then we spoke about the gratitude, the fact that gratitude for the past is something that actually prepares us for the future, right? So, it's obviously difficult to understand every situation that we go through. And in fact, we don't need to. Luckily, we don't need to delve into every situation and understand how, the pain that it made us feel and try and understand how it's purposeful. You don't need to necessarily do that in order to have this gratitude, as long as you understand that it's bringing you eventually closer to this over-encompassing force of reality. Then you can be grateful for it. It's like a child that understands their parents' love for them, and even if they don't understand the exact tactics they use necessarily in different forms of educating them, it could be through some kind of prevention of what they experience as pleasure, like you can't eat candy all day. For a 4-year-old, that could be devastating. Nevertheless, the 4-year-old has this feeling that the parent cares and loves him, and they can still be grateful to the parent, even though they don't let them eat candy all day, which for them seems horrible and horrific and pain. So in the same way, the pain that we experience that's given to us through this force of love, even if we don't completely understand it, we can still be grateful that we have the understanding that there is this force that's bringing us closer, constantly evolving, right? And this state of gratitude, that we had a great gratitude session last week. It was like a 30-second session where we all kind of stopped and thought of our gratitude, and it was great. You should check it out and do it as well, do that exercise. And that puts us in the right state of mind of thinking of the future. That puts us in the right frame of reference to start thinking of the future. And then it not only becomes Actually, we had this drawing, which I'll just briefly remind, that the past, present, future are axes on our timeline that we perceive as past as what is already been, present is what I'm experiencing now, and future is what is to come. But in Kabbalah, they're actually revelations, or you can say representations, of a cycle which is called a reshimo, which is simply a transition between states, internal states of the development of the soul. And when we're grateful for the past, we're actually connecting to the process. And then that past event, it becomes part of the future. It's not that I'm grateful for it and then I let go of it, but it's like that state is transferred to the future. And then we said that that mindset is the mindset we want when we are approaching 2021, which we just entered a few days ago. So Happy New Year to all of you. And let's make sure we enter this year with a correct mindset. So this was more or less a quick recap of what we did last session. It was fun, so I definitely recommend you watch it. And I assume the link is already, yep, I see Rachel posted the link in the chat. And now we're going to move on to today's session. So I first want to quickly introduce Kabbalist Dr. Michael Laitman, who's actually my teacher for Kabbalah. I learn from him every day, about 3 hours a day, if not more. And he's a Kabbalist. He's a great Kabbalist, the greatest in our generation. And he writes regularly. He writes his views on the world, on reality, on things that seem like current affairs, although he's not relating to them from a current affair perspective, but from the understanding of the entire system we're in and how these events are a part of this process of evolution. So first of all, I recommend you check out his Facebook page, his YouTube channel. Just simply type Michael Laitman in Facebook or in YouTube and you'll find it. And if you want to get insights straight from the Kabbalist, then I recommend you follow and subscribe. And he wrote an article a few days ago that is called, what was it called? Oh, it's called 10 Insights on 2020 and Beyond. Duh. Okay, so that's what's written up here. And I read through it and I thought, wow, you know, this is a Kabbalistic vision of how we want reality to be, of his take, a Kabbalist take on reality. And as I was reading through these 10 insights, then some I felt were closer to where the world is going and some I felt that we're very far from. And what we'll do is we'll start reading through these 10 insights. So we'll spend a few minutes on each. And I'd like to get your input on that. I'd like to see if we can determine where the world is going. You know, to what extent is it following these trends that Kabbalist Dr. Michael Laitman wrote in these articles? So we'll do it in a format of a game. All right? And how we'll do it is we'll read the 10 different insights. And if you agree, not if you agree with the insight, I'm not asking about that. I'm asking if you agree that that is where the world is going, then thumbs up. And if you disagree, meaning if you think that the world is not going in that direction, then do a thumbs down. And then we'll be able to get maybe a point of view of whether or not the world is moving in that direction or not. So just do a thumbs up or a thumbs down, and Rachel and Ruth will be checking it out and sending me the results after every one of these sessions. So let's start off with the first one. The first one is family relations. So let's quickly read it. In 2020, we learned about the importance of family, that in the end, this is our first, most intimate and most natural circle, the one I truly should look after. We've done a lot of scrutiny regarding the family, and I think that in the end, it will create more solid connections. So I'd like you to think, first of all, if you identify with that, if you experienced that in the last year, I guess, and if you think that that's where we're going. So thumbs up if you agree that's where the world is going, and thumbs down if you think that unfortunately the world is not going in that direction, in which case the world is headed that way. I can say from my personal experience that it's totally going in that direction. The fact that I started working from home, and I'm putting aside for a second the work aspect of, you know, efficiency, etc., but just the family part, You know, so even though I work in a separate room, actually even outside the house, I have like an office in my backyard, but still just being around that presence, it strengthened connection with the family, and I think it was felt with all of my family, with my children, with my wife, and I would definitely say a thumbs up for this. So, okay, I see that you guys agree. We'll give you a few more seconds. If you want to write something in addition to that, in addition to a thumbs up or a thumbs down, then feel free. If you have a question about it or a comment about it, then definitely go ahead. I'll be taking a look at these as well. Let's see how it's looking so far. Okay, so I see thumbs up all around. I think basically everyone, almost everyone is agreeing, except for just a few. So, okay, Patricia's asking, what about forming family from those not related? Great question, Patricia. I was actually thinking the same. I was thinking, you know, there's my biological family, and with them, I think this definitely helped build more solid connections. And then there's also, like, my spiritual family, which also includes my biological family since they're with me in the spiritual path. But I mean the people that are close to me spiritually, those that are also seeking spirituality, that want to find meaning in life, that study together with me in classes, fellow students, etc. And I think it goes the same. I think I can say that there is a thumbs up, that it strengthens so much this sense of connection. There, some of you that are watching here are part of KabU, and in KabU we have a Sunday class with our community. And last week I asked, just out of interest, you know, if we have anyone from Europe in that class. It was a small class, about 50 or 60 students. And I asked, you know, do we have someone from Europe? Yes. From Africa? Yes. From Asia? Yes. North America, South America, Australia, the whole world was there, and it does feel they're like one family. So I think also in that direction, family relations of those that you feel that are family to you, I would give that a thumbs up too. So, okay, so we have the results in. Is the world going in the direction of stronger, solid connections? Yes, it is. Great. So, +1 for connection. Let's move on to the next one. Maybe I'll just quickly some comments. Okay, yeah, so some are saying that they've experienced, like Donna's saying, I've experienced some better, but other family has experienced the opposite. Yeah, I actually think I've seen also other people that have had a hard time with this, especially those who aren't so techie or aren't familiar with Zoom or things like that. So I think I would say, you know, we need to help them. We need to help them connect and feel this connection and experience this new form of connection. Okay, so let's jump on to the next one. All right, food. So let's take a quick read and let's see if we're in that direction or not. So for this year, we stopped eating out and started cooking. In my view, this can only do us good. I hope we can eliminate the supermarkets and leave only 10% of the things that they sell, only the healthy, natural things. This is all we need. Nothing is better for us than to cook our own food. And if we crave something new, we can always visit our neighbors, or they can visit us. I love that ending. You know, it's that simple. So through food, not only does he talk about here about the natural way of living, which makes so much sense, you know. When you go to the supermarket and you want to buy milk, for example, there are like 40 types of milk. Who needs that? Think of how much waste is in creating 40 substances, 40 products which are actually the same and they just have a different label. So much waste, you know. And I was checking some stats about food waste. Can you guess how much food is being wasted? This is sad. This is not funny. Every second, there are 2 tons of food wasted. Every second, 2 tons. So just while I was saying that, 10, 20 tons of food wasted. That's $1 trillion worth of food every year. And it's basically a third of the food there is in the world every year. A third of it goes to waste. It's thrown out. While we have more than a third of the world that's, starving, basically, that would love to have that food. So it's clear that our systems aren't built in a way that is connection driven. In simple words, we're not building our systems to support humanity. We're building them for other needs. And I think, just looking at this point here about this year, of course, we stopped eating out because the restaurants are closed, at least in Israel, and I think in America. I think in most places restaurants are closed, or they have been for most of the time, and even if they're open, most people didn't want to go to a restaurant and, eat food that wasn't cooked by them, and who knows by who and what, etc. in this time of a pandemic. So I'll say from my experience that I've been doing some cooking, which I enjoy very much, and my wife enjoys it when I do that as well, even though she does most of it, but I now do some of it, and it's a lot of fun, and it brings us together. If I cook a meal for the both of us, so I think that's definitely great. Again, that last comment, I love it. If we want to crave something new, we can always visit our neighbors and they can visit us. That's great. Is the world going in that direction? Well, it's hard to say, because now, of course it is. But what happens when lockdowns end, right? Will we continue these habits? I would have to say yes. I think I'm going to continue doing that. And I'll just add the last part of visiting our neighbors, so we can try new foods and they can visit us. So I would definitely say a thumbs up, and I see that you're agreeing with me. If you have any other thoughts or comments on the topic, then please write them in the chat. So let's take a look at what else. Okay, Mary isn't willing to give up junk food. I think you can still eat junk food. I think it's all a matter of proportion, of course. Sharon is saying that she can't identify with this one. Okay. Okay, so I see a lot of your comments about foods you're eating and healthier foods, and it's great. It's great to see, because taking care of our body, by the way, is part of spirituality. If you want to be healthy spiritually, you have to make sure your body is also healthy. Kabbalists always made sure to eat correctly, to exercise daily exercise. Bala Sulam, who's the author of the interpretation of the book of Zohar, and Rabash used to go for a walk every single day, his son, and Rav Laitman, well, now, again, lockdown, but he used to go swimming in the beach almost every day, and if not, then he used to go for a walk with his wife every morning. And Kabbalah say you got to take care of this body. And if you take care of this body, then it's considered a necessity. So it's not, a lot of people try and kind of treat taking care of their health as something that maybe is a waste of time and they should be spending in spirituality. No, Kabbalah is very clear on that. You got to take care of your necessities. So I think this is something that we can all improve. Well, at least I can improve on that. I don't exercise enough, especially now in lockdown. Barely exercising at all, actually. But definitely I would like to do more of that, and it's important that we feel our bodies strong so we can focus our thoughts and intentions and minds on connection. Okay, so let's see what else. All right, so we have thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up, thumbs up. Yes, so the world is going in that direction for food as well. Okay, let's move on to the next one, shopping. Okay, I think this is what Kabbalist Dr. Laitman said in this article. I think shopping will change drastically. It all depends on the influence of the environment, but I don't think shopping will be as it was prior to the virus. It's just that the social environment dictates everything. If it told us to walk around in slippers, we would. If it told us that high heels were ridiculous, no woman would dare to wear them. Instead of looking for new things to buy, we will look for new insights. Hold on, I just want to take a second actually talk about this. it's so true, and I'm sure many of you are aware of this, but so many people are not aware of this, that their whole dress code, and not even their dress code, what they genuinely believe they like is actually determined by what society likes. You know, I won't stand up now because I'd like to let you think that I'm dressed nicely, that I have a nice shirt on, etc. But, you know, I'm wearing joggers as pants because you can't see it, and it's comfortable. Don't tell anyone. Shh, secret. And it's actually funny. There was a video, a really funny video of a minister in Israel. I think he was a minister or something, or still is, just a few weeks ago, and he was recording like this serious message on his phone, and you could see his top hat. But what he didn't realize when he posted the video is that you could see very small, it wasn't kind of, you had to really look for it. There was a small reflection from behind, and you can see he was wearing boxer shorts, and this is what he published online. So I saw that and I just cracked up, and then I made sure to always check that there are no mirrors behind me as well. But it just shows how definitely we would all be wearing our pajamas probably all day if we could, or just whatever's comfortable, right? So that's kind of the vision of shopping. Let's keep on reading. So instead of looking for new things to buy, we will look for new insights, new relationships with people. This is interesting. So instead of, people go shopping, sometimes it's because they need new stuff, and sometimes it's because they have this sense of emptiness that they want to fulfill, and then they might eat or they might shop, right, to fulfill a deficit. So what he's saying here is that we'll fill that deficit with new relationships with people. We'll want to buy a new approach to everyone, more welcoming and warm, and we'll become ashamed when we have bad thoughts about others. We'll feel as though we're walking around naked and everyone can see who we really are, that our thoughts are exposed. The garments will be a little more spiritual, beautifying our thoughts about others rather than the skin on our flesh. That's beautiful. Basically, that's what I'm seeing here. That this desire to shop, which is basically covering some kind of deficit, it should be replaced with fulfillment from connection and clothing ourselves, as he says, with spiritual garments that beautify not our bodies but our thoughts and our souls. So like garments for the soul, for the thought. That's beautiful. Is the world going in that direction? Is it or isn't it? That's a hard one. Let's be optimistic, I can't say that it's definitely not, so let's be optimistic and let's think that it is. Let's surround ourselves with people that think that way as well. Let's want it to be that way. I can't say for certain that it's not, so we'll give it the benefit of the doubt and we'll say that the world is going in that direction. So thumbs up, and I see that you agree with me. That's great. Excellent. Okay, so I'll take a look at some of your comments. So Jack is saying, I've actually given away so many of my things this year. I no longer want to appease my emptiness with retail therapy. Yep, I completely agree with that, Jack. Thanks for sharing that with us. And what else we have here? There's actually a question about what I said before about fitness and nutrition. Is there a book I can recommend for further studies on Kabbalah and fitness? So just to clarify that, Kabbalah is talking about spiritual development and fitness is talking about the physical body, this world. There is no direct relation between Kabbalah and health, only in a way that we need a healthy body so we can focus on spirituality. And not that the spirituality is in any way related to what we eat or if we exercise or not. So if you're looking for a book, then I suggest you just search online for someone that's good, that's researched, that has basically proven methods. That's what I can recommend. I can't say that there's any Kabbalistic text about health because Kabbalah doesn't deal with health at all. We just want to be healthy so we can focus on spirituality. Okay, let's see. So Melissa's saying, I'll read a thumbs down one. Melissa's saying, I think the world wants to be less materialistic but can't do it alone. Okay, I see what you're doing. So some thumbs down and thumbs up. Yep, that's actually also how I feel. I feel that there's kind of a drive for it, but it's still not exactly happening. It's not exactly rolling yet as we would like it to be. Okay, let's see. Okay, Maria is saying who we really are inside of us, not outside of us. Thank you, beautiful. Deborah is saying, I think we still want to look and feel good in front of others. Absolutely. I agree. I think the way we feel that we're perceived by others is important to us. I think it's a question of intensity. So how important is it? Is it the most important thing? Am I going to spend $5,000 on shoes just so I can say that I have some brand designer shoes and then feel good about myself? So I think that's kind of that gap we're talking about. No one, is saying that you should dress in rags. No one is saying that you should just eat, just like fruit and vegetables. You can also eat more advanced, more sophisticated food, so to speak. But I think it's all a question of intensity. What are our priorities in life? And I think this last year helped us really redefine our priorities. I think that's the overall kind of thing. All right, so we have a thumbs up for that as well. Great, the world is in a good direction. All right, let's move on to the next one. By the way, if you want to check out the full article, then Rachel already posted it on Facebook and on YouTube, so you can check out the full article later. It's basically this, but if you want to reread it, then check out the link. Okay, let's see what else. Health. So, as I said many times before, I don't view COVID-19 as an illness. I think it is a cure that heals our society, our relationships, and in the end, our health. I think that after the pandemic, society will feel healthier than it felt prior to the pandemic, especially if we use this crisis in order to intensify our connections and mutual responsibility. I can definitely feel that it's curing. It feels it's an illness, but sometimes illnesses are also referred to as cures because when there's a physical illness for the body, then it cleanses the body. And when a body comes out of illness, it usually comes out healthier than it was before. And I think this is what Dr. Laitman is referring to here, that it's curing the priorities of our society. It's pushing us to rethink our old paradigms on all levels, even on the material, corporeal levels. A lot of things are being re-scrutinized. We'll get to them too, but it's pushing us to rethink what's important in life, and that's the real health here, because you can be physically really healthy, but if you're lonely, then that's, twice as harmful as being an alcoholic. It's as harmful as smoking a pack of cigarettes a day, loneliness, so understanding what's important in life and the importance of social connection, of mutual responsibility, of being positively connected to those around me. If we even go a centimeter closer, an inch closer towards that, then that's definitely great health. And I think I'm giving that a double thumbs up. I think we're definitely going in that direction. I see it, I feel it around, that things that were considered priorities beforehand have dropped in their priority, and I see that all around that. People are really questioning what's important in life, and I think the fact that they question that is already an achievement. So definitely give that a thumbs up, and I see that you agree with me, so that's good that we're in the right direction. So yeah, so Sharon is saying it's a blessing in disguise. Izoki is saying, I'm seeing that spiritual well-being is that basis, the measurement of health on all levels. So yes, we're going there now. Need to know is saying it was necessary means to an end. The end results are yet to be seen fully. Correct. I agree with that completely. We're not seeing the full impact of it, but we will, I'm sure. There is no sickness without a remedy. Great. Excellent. Awesome. So far, we have 4 out of 4. That's great. So the world is in a good direction. Family relations are in the right direction. Food going in the right direction. Shopping in the right direction. And health in the right direction. All right. Good. We're going to have a good year. Okay. Let's take a look at another one. School. Okay, I think we must revolutionize the education system, turn it upside down. There is more to be discussed here, but it's clear that the current systems needs to change. It's simply unsuitable for the 21st century. First of all, as someone that also deals with education, not just Kabbalah, but also I have a master's in education and technology, and I also teach maths and physics and computer science. And I completely agree with that. And I think that what happened in the last year probably took the education system 10 years forward. But to be honest, I don't think I don't think it's moving yet in the right direction. It's moving a little bit, but it's still so far from what it should be. I just found online this image here. So this is a picture of a school from 1884. And as you can see, besides, well, even the clothing, it looks pretty much like a classroom today. It's basically the same. It hasn't changed. And it was the same in the 17th century as well. In 1635, when the first school was formed, this is how it was structured. It was built, the whole education system, it was conceived in the Enlightenment, in the Industrial Revolution. It was to teach people, yep, that's correct, Patricia, there were no girls at that time in schools. But it was built around this intellectual culture of enlightenment, of training people for specific things. And it hasn't changed much in almost 500 years. It's basically the same. And if you want to, I'd highly recommend watching a video on this topic. You can just search YouTube for Sir Ken Robinson, RSA. He gives an 11-minute session there that is just so eye-opening about the whole educational system and how it's not focusing on the potential of the individual and of the opportunities we have today, but it still basically hasn't really changed significantly. There hasn't really been a paradigm shift in education for 500 years. So yes, in COVID, schools started giving assignments and classes on Zoom and assignments through whatever it is, Google Classroom or other such technologies, but it didn't go through the significant change that it needs to. So unfortunately, for this one, I'm going to give it a thumbs down. Tell me if you agree with me. I don't mean it's not important by thumbs down. I just mean that unfortunately, I think we're still so far from it. And even though, teachers were thrown into the digital world in the last year, what I saw is that they're just learning to transfer what they were doing in the physical classroom to a digital setting. That's it. They didn't change anything in its essence. And that's what should really change. There really needs to be, a serious shift here. I think this last sentence just sums it up. It's just unsuitable for the 21st century. And we can elaborate, we can do a whole session on that as well. It's not fitted. It's like taking, there's like this funny image online that you take, an elephant and a monkey and a fish, and then, you say, okay, so the apple's on the tree, so you got to climb up and get the apple, and then you'll be graded accordingly. So obviously it's not a fair test because, an elephant and a monkey and a fish don't have the same abilities, same potential, same skill set, and that's how each and every one of us are, unique individuals with unique abilities to contribute to maximize our potential and maximize our contribution to people around us. And there's a long way to go here. So, do you agree? Do you not agree? Okay, so Ruth wrote to me that most of you think that it is going in the right direction, but I'm not seeing that in the chat. I'm seeing most of you, or at least the recent ones. Robin is saying it needs to be more like Kabu stuff. No, completely. I completely agree with you, Robin. You know, what it should be is it should be focused on collaborative learning. You know, to put it simply, collaborative learning. And it's been found, study after study, that collaborative learning is always more effective than competitive learning or individualistic learning. All except for one field, and this is in practicing equations. When you practice equations, you've got to do it alone. Other than that, always collaborative study is better. It keeps you more motivated. I actually did a video on this. Maybe Rachel, if you can dig that up, we'll be okay with a thumbs up. I can see them here. If you can dig up that video from the Happiness and Success course, there's a video on YouTube that I talk about education and collaborative and competitive learning, and I bring some studies there. If you can dig that up, that would be great. If not, don't worry about it. We can always post it later on. So, okay, it's a close call here on education. It's a close call. So, what's the verdict? I'll just go with Ruth in that case. Okay, some are being sophisticated and they're doing this, so is that a thumbs up or down? I don't really understand, but let's see. Okay. Okay, from what I'm seeing is that there is a majority of comments that represent thumbs down as well, that it needs to change. So I'll say in this area, sorry for making that sound, in this area I would say that the world definitely is not yet going exactly in the right direction, and we need to improve it. Okay, let's move on to the next one. The media. Okay. So the media is currently not a means of communication, but a means of manipulation. I think a radical change is necessary here, or we will suffer a terrible blow because of it. Before people in the media even approach their job, they must be taught what it means to treat people decently. Only after they are reformed in that way, they can be permitted to work in this field. I think these are very, very strong words, and they reflect, unfortunately, the state of society. And I think it's not just media. I think it's everything. You know, if you've seen that documentary, The Social Dilemma, I recommend you do see it if you haven't. It basically just paints a very simple picture that, you know, all of these channels, all of these different social media platforms, they have one goal: to keep you engaged as much as you can in the platform, which theoretically doesn't necessarily mean it's bad, because if they're keeping you engaged to increase your intellect, to become more knowledgeable, to be more connected to other people, to feel more loved, to feel better about yourself, maybe it's not so bad. But unfortunately, that's not at all what they're focused on. They're focused only on one thing. And it's clear what they're focused on: making money. Because they're a business and they need to make money, because they have investors, and if they don't make money, then they'll be in trouble. So they're playing the game, you know, according to the laws of the world. But what is this game? It's a terrible game, right? It's basically, it's driving everything around us to get us addicted and connected to something that is driven by how much money they'll make as long as we're on the screen. And this is the media today. And I think that is saying that, you know, they must be taught what it means to treat people decently. I think that can go a long way, you know, because it basically means, what's your mindset? Just imagine all of the social media platforms that will be driven towards increasing positive human connection. And that will be their driving goal. Money will be a means, but their goal would be that. How would it be? It would be something completely different. So, wow, I would give this a double thumbs down. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like we're anywhere near that. Well, maybe a little bit, because you're here and you're using these tools to create positive media, and I think it has a lot more impact on the world than, the 200, 300 viewers we have right now. I think this creates a ripple effect, even if you want to look at it simply with network science, that each person is connected to 3 levels of influence, and, there's a whole research about that. You can look it up, Nicholas Christakis and James Fowler, I think under a book called Connected. I can't remember the name exactly. But basically, he says there, if you quit smoking, then you influence those around you to quit smoking, and those around them to quit smoking, and those around them, etc. Like 3 circles of influence. So if your colleague gets married, it increases the chances that you'll get married by X%. If your colleague quits smoking, it increases the chances that you'll quit smoking, and if you smoke, by X%, etc. So I think the media that we're creating here, and it's all thanks to you, because when I read your comments, then I see the true connection that is formed here, and that's inspiring. And here I think we can just pray, seriously, just pray that those people will be awakened to be decent, to bring positive connection around. Let's see what you guys think. So it looks like you agree with me. The media has become businesses that serves people confirmation bias. Social media should be just that, social media, not politics. Media are lies, are conspiracies. That's Mati. What else? Okay. Larry's saying media sell negativity to make money, so good deeds go underreported. That's why we don't watch TV and news anymore. I think basically you're all just pointing at the correct fact that all of these systems are just driven by monetary incentives. That's it. That's what drives them. And as long as that's the drive, then big thumbs down. It's only gonna lead us to what's called in Kabbalah recognition of evil. Basically, recognition of evil means that, like a kid, if you do the wrong thing, then you get some response from a parent or a teacher, a negative response, and then from that, unfortunately, you learn. So here, hopefully there'll be, seriously, just prayer is all I can say for this one. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Jobs and careers. Maybe this will be a little more fun. It turns out that we don't need to work that many hours. In 2020, we learned that we can work fewer hours, settle for more basic needs, but benefit ourselves and all of nature in the process. So an interesting study that I found from our Future Forum research that examined 4,700 workers. So only 12% want to return to working full-time in office, like we see in this picture. This is kind of a standard office. But 72 want a hybrid remote office model moving forward. So they want to basically work at home, and they want to go to the office sometimes for social interactions. So I think the world is definitely going there. I started working from home. I feel that it contributed to my efficiency. I don't feel that it really harmed my social connections, but maybe it's not a kind of a standard situation, because I work in in Bnei Baruch, in Kabbalahinfo. That's where I work, and I work with people from all around the world, mainly from America, but also from Europe and Africa and Asia. So we're kind of a virtual team anyway. So the fact that I now work from home office and not from a physical office where I worked before, with a few more workers that worked also from Israel, I think it made us all be equal, and I think it's great, and I think it's more efficient, and it might be nice to get together once in a while, but we do that in our retreats about once a year. We have retreats. We're going to have a virtual retreat soon, by the way. I'm not supposed to tell you yet, it's still a secret. But don't tell anyone that I told you. We're going to have a KabU virtual online retreat soon. Details to come. Anyway, so I think for this section, definitely huge thumbs up. The world is going there. And I think that it's good. It's prioritizing where we want to invest our energies and our efforts. So maybe, if we don't commute to work for 2 hours, then we're not only more efficient and more creative in work, but we also have time for other things like focusing on personal, spiritual development, things like that. So great, thumbs up, and I see you all agree. Great. Great for humanity, great for human beings. All right. So let's move on to the next one. Insight number 8, money. For now, we still worship money. However, we are moving toward an awakening from it, and I hope that soon we will begin to feel that there is no escape from revolutionizing how we value things. We will begin to search for new rewards, benefits that have to do with improved human relations, a sense of mutual esteem, equality, and mutual responsibility. When we can buy what we need through good relationships, money will become meaningless. Very powerful. Definitely a vision for the future, something that we can aspire to. I think it's clear that we're still far from this, but I'm going to give this one a thumbs up because I think we're definitely going in that direction clearly. There is a clear path paved in this direction. And although it seems like there is still a long way to that, a long way where we completely value relationships above money, I think there is definitely a long way to that, but I still think that's the direction that we're going. Way of the World is saying it sounds a lot like communism, thumbs down. It's not talking about communism at all. It's not talking about everyone being lined up and getting the same distributed to them while still being egoistically driven. It's talking about a change in priorities, simply a change in priorities, that we appreciate good relationships above money. So yeah, I was just responding to a comment here. So it's not talking about how finances are distributed, and it's not talking about financial structures even. It's simply talking about priorities. That's it. How we value things. That's the main point here. What is our God? Is money our God? Is that what we put in and appreciate and live for money? Or do we live and work for money in order to improve human relationships, mutual responsibility, concern for one another? So I think that's the emphasis here. And I'm giving it a thumbs up because I think we're still far from it, but we are going in that direction. And I think COVID helps us, is helping humanity advance in that direction. So let's see if you agree with me or not about humanity going in that direction. It looks like you do. I can see most of the thumbs up here, except for those that are doing thumbs down, obviously. Let's see. Let's just read some of the comments from both directions. So Izoki is giving it a thumbs down, but she's saying that I can't wait to feel the shift in money. I agree. I also can't wait, but I feel that we're in that direction. Let's see. Bogdan is saying money is just a piece of paper. That's correct. It is. Patricia is saying, I'd love to see more community gardening. Beautiful. I guess that little, what's it called? Sprout gave you that idea, that inspiration. Okay, so let's see what else here. Looks like you agree. Okay, great. Second last, 9, living conditions. So this is my house. No, I'm just kidding. It's not. We've learned that we can live out in the country and still remain connected. This is very important. I'm sure that this trend will expand. Today, there is no reason why I shouldn't live where I feel most comfortable, yet work at almost anything. Definitely double thumbs up. First of all, it's awesome that this is happening. It really is awesome that you can just be anywhere, and it's like all the borders were lifted. And you're not limited to physical location. And the second thumbs up is because, yes, totally the world is going there, no doubt about that. For example, real estate prices are at an all-time low in areas that used to be, well, still are, but like Manhattan, saw a drop of up to 50% in housing prices. That's crazy. It's insane. Also, like Silicon Valley also had a serious drop because it's so expensive, and it used to be a necessity to live nearby where your company is. So you worked in some startup company and you had to live nearby. So you lived in Sao Paulo, or I can't remember what it's called, that neighborhood there in Silicon Valley, and now you're working from home, so you can move out to the suburbs further away and still do your work and do it successfully and collaborate and innovate, etc. So yes, definitely we're in that direction. So I see you all agree. Double thumbs up. Great. So humanity, good job. And the last one is travel. I think travel has changed significantly. People are losing the desire, the craving to see new things. There was a period when humanity chased these excursions, but we seem to have grown out of it. I think we're entering a period where people will simply not be able to satisfy themselves simply by traveling. Looking at buildings or nature will simply not do it for us anymore. What do you think? Honestly, when COVID started, I had zero desire to go anywhere. But to be honest, in the last few weeks, I've really been craving for our Kabbu retreat, to meet you personally in a physical setting. Maybe I'm not corrected enough to feel that connection virtually. Although the virtual connection is very, very powerful, I still felt that I want to give you a hug, or talk to you without. Can you hear me? You sound okay? But is the world going in that direction? What do you think? Thumbs up or thumbs down? So it seems like most of you are agreeing with this. So we'll take that as a thumbs up. And let's summarize, where is humanity going today? So out of 10 categories, 10 visions of a Kabbalist for humanity, it seems like we were able to agree that at least 8 or 8.5, because there was one of the categories there which we weren't completely certain on. It was education, I think. So in all these categories, it seems like the world is headed in the right direction. And if we follow these laws of nature, if we understand what's driving us and what we need to reach, that we simply need to reach positive connection between us. That is the source of any form of pain that we feel, and it is the cure, the remedy for any kind of fulfillment we can feel. So as long as we're advancing towards that, as long as we're evolving towards a more connected humanity that values and appreciates connection, social connection, positive well-being as human beings, as individuals, as societies, as communities, as countries, as nations, as the human race, if we can appreciate that as being what drives us as opposed to monetary incentives and opposed to egoistic fulfillments on the expense of others, if we can even take a slight step in that direction in 2021, then I think we will have a good year, and that will bring all of humanity into balance. We can make the shift either way. So our time is up, and it was great to be here with you. I had a lot of fun, and thanks for interacting and engaging. It was a great session. Great to have you, all of you here in this session today on Facebook and on YouTube. And we'll see you all next week, and stay tuned on both channels for the Great Transition with Joseph and Seth. And we'll see you all next week. Bye-bye.